What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Tuesday. Today is a very special day because we are kicking off the Venice Creative Business Academy, which is a series that we're bringing for the community to pretty much teach everybody in the community, whether you want to be an entrepreneur, you're an artist, creative, just how to build, how to grow your brand and develop your business with top industry professionals every week. And we're going to share this knowledge with you and gems that you need to really empower yourselves and elevate everything that you're building. So we have an amazing guest on today, but before we bring on Amber, we want to bring up Troy and Susie to get it kicked off. So thanks everybody for being here today. We're bringing up Troy and Susie.
Great. Thank you, Donovan. What's up, Suze?
Donovan. Hey, Troy. I just loved how we played Top Mama. That was all you, right, Donovan?
Yes, it was. Yeah, had to cook it up, get the vibes right.
The vibes are right. Set.
Let's jump right in. Let's bring Amber up.
Let's do it.
Hey guys.
What's up, Amber?
Nothing. I enjoyed Top Mama as well, Susie.
Like dancing in here.
I'm gonna do all the dances Spinoz taught me.
Just to kick it off, one, I just want to say thank you to my good friend Amber Grimes for showing up for us today. Amber and I had the pleasure of working together at Spotify, where I just got a chance to get to know her and sort of understand her very creative approach to business, marketing, and branding, and really being able to have this sort of two sides where she understood the business incredibly well, but also understood creatives at their core and how it all worked together. So working with Amber on our team there was great. And then having the pleasure to work with her now on some projects at Venice. For people who don't know, prior to Spotify, Amber had her own agency and was doing that, and then worked with me at Spotify, and then went over to Capitol to do marketing within the Capitol Music Group, and then recently became a partner and vice president over at LVRN, who we love the team over there. So just to kind of set the stage for who we're going to be talking to today.
Or as Spinall likes to call, GM.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
And I'll just add to Troy's introduction that I've really just enjoyed observing Amber just work and live and breathe and just be her full self, and discovered her via Troy and the team at Spotify. But just over the past couple of years, for 4 or 5 years, just seeing her fully embrace and just build her unique self and just bring that authentically to industry, to the multiverse of our digital internet, and just like don't take risks and take chances on herself, but bring her full self to the personal, the business, the creative equation. So just so thrilled to be working with her and just to have her introduced to our Venice community.
Thank you, Susie.
Amber, give us your background, your journey. How'd you get here?
So my journey, I'll try to make it a short story. I, like everybody, I think in Atlanta, started out throwing parties because it's the easy industry to get into in Atlanta. I started doing that when I was in high school, and I love to always bring up, the full circle moment, Tunde and Sean, who are both the founders and partners in Love Renaissance. They used to let me in the club when I was in high school. And so I was like, oh man, this is great in here. Like, I love my friends. And so it's always such a pleasure to be able to talk about that. And, having almost like 2-decade-long relationship with people that, I get the opportunity to work with now is incredible. But yeah, so throwing parties in Atlanta, that was just like passing out flyers, learning how to promote and to get people in a building, to get bodies in a building and say, okay, cool, I had a party with 300 people and now there's 500 people here. And then, I got a room of 1,000 people. Also Red, Brandon, who works with Venice, one of the people who also taught me how to throw parties. So I'm big on gratitude. So I love to tell these stories, but also connect the dots on all the people that were a part of my journey. So I appreciate him for that too. In Atlanta, there was not a lot of women promotion companies. There were a lot of men. And I started one of the first all-female promotion companies during that time. But because Red and a couple of other people were very helpful in teaching me the business. And so I appreciate them for that. After that, I said, okay, you know what? If I can pass out flyers and promote things and get people places, I think that I can promote an artist because it's the same thing, right? That means I could promote shows. So I started booking artists and promoting artists. And one of the artists that I ended up working with was named Sean Teasy. And, I was like, well, if I can get people to listen to your music and to go places with you, I think I can manage you too. And so I started managing artists then between him and another artist named Michael Montana, just anybody local in Atlanta who would allow me to pretend like I knew what I was doing. I started managing. And then from there, that's how Boo Chom, at the time, who became the VP of A&Rs at Def Jam, found me. And, a lot of, some things didn't work out with him and the artist, but he came back and called me. My favorite story, I was in college and he was like, hey, I love the way that you move around. My team loves you. Do you want to come and intern for me at Def Jam? And I was like, no, sorry. Bringing my full self, Susie. I was like, I don't intern, even though I was very broke college student. I know my worth. So when you have a job for me, call me back. And, I hung up and I was like, that was stupid, but let's see what happens. And he called me back, not even, it was a day later, and was like, hey, so I have a job for you now. I need an executive assistant at Def Jam. Would you like to do that? And I was like, I'll meet you at your office tomorrow to do that.
What gave you that confidence to make that decision? Because a lot of times people are so sort of thirsty to get in, or or just okay, this is a good opportunity. I don't want to blow it. What gave you that confidence to make that call?
I feel like even more so then, I just always was very aware of my worth, and what was for me was going to be for me. And if something didn't feel right or sound right, I wasn't willing to just take a risk on anything. Right. It's so funny. So the class that I was in at the time was my economics class, not doing very well in there. But for the whole week, we were learning opportunity cost, and that part I could grasp. And to me, it was so crazy that this situation was happening at the same time, because what they were offering at the time for the internship, I was running around, doing so much and making my way in Atlanta that, the idea of going in somewhere and not being able to do what I was doing before for all of the artists and the people I worked with, the opportunity cost, it was too high to give all of that up. But then when I got another chance, an opportunity to have a position somewhere, because I saw a lot of people, I had already interned for people. I felt, I've done this, and I'm trying to move to the next level. And I feel like sometimes, I was just confident, blindly confident and willing to raise the stakes. And I felt like, if these people had something for me, whether it was tomorrow or next year, that they will call me back because they see what I do. I'm going to keep doing it regardless of if I take this internship or not. And I was willing to see how it went. And, by the grace of God, it was a 24-hour anxiety and not a year-long wait. So I bet on myself, and I started that very early in life, so that I'm able to keep doing that now, 12, 13 years, however long it's been in the business, because I've seen it work for me. And so I'm committed to always betting on myself. And so I'm glad I've had that early practice, whether it was blind or not, just early in my career.
Amazing.
I was just a little asshole, Troy. That's the real answer. I was man, give me a job.
You know what? That confidence and that self advocacy, that it goes a long way. It goes a long way.
So
And
Amber,
then I'm sorry. Go ahead, Suze.
I was just gonna ask for her to continue the journey. Were you a good assistant, or did you quickly find that that wasn't meant for you?
The best of its kind, Susie. So the one thing that I tell people to this day, I talk about it as if I was just an assistant yesterday. being an assistant is the absolute best job that anybody could ever get to start out in the industry. Being somebody who has had who has created the privilege to skip some steps in my career, one that I'm so grateful that I did not skip is being an assistant. And one of the things that Troy said earlier that I'm just always so grateful for people to notice is that, you know, I understand the business and I understand the creatives, and I try to understand the full scope of where I work or who I'm working with, because as an assistant, you get this opportunity to be a part of everything. So as an assistant, it was my job. I was on every email. I was on every call. I spoke to every department. I was in the studio with the artists. I was on the phone with the executives. Every piece of the business you get to be a part of. And when you value that, there is so much to learn from it. It is not about, I will take out the trash and get the coffee. I'll do whatever you ask me for the opportunity to find out what marketing really is, or what the A&Rs do, or to sit in the studio and watch somebody write a song. And I got to do that for almost 4.5 years, you know, and it kept growing into other things, ending up managing the studio and continuing to be able to manage producers and artists. And I started producing videos when I was an assistant, because literally any way that I wanted to position myself, it was my job to get things done for the person that I worked for. So if I could get it done, I would go do it. And so I was able to like build an inner resume inside of the job that I was doing, because I would just step up to the plate. And because I had that control of the situation as the assistant, I could see what holes needed to be filled and I would fill them. And just the learning, like it's invaluable. You know, I like everybody else, when I first started, I wanted to be an A&R, because that's like the only thing that you know and the only thing you hear about, and you want to be friends with the artist or whatever. And as an assistant, I got to sit in the studio. And the first time that I sit in there and heard somebody play a beat 150 times on loop, I was like, I do not want to be an A&R. And had I not had that experience, you know, I would have been chasing a dream that I wasn't even having, that wasn't even a reality for me. And so that assisting put me in, put me in the back seat of so many different cars, so I could find out which one I really wanted to drive. I'll say that.
Sometimes it's good to learn what you don't want to do, you know.
Oof, I live by it.
Yeah.
I am living and experiencing things to find out what I don't like, because at the end you get to what you do and you get to what you're good at. But along the way, you just have a backpack of experience, because you still go through it. I don't like it, but now I know exactly what your job is. And I'm a firm believer, you know, as I became a leader in certain fields, is that like, if I don't know at least 50% of what everybody's job is, how can I tell you that you're not doing your job properly? How can I help you grow? How can I help you with anything if I don't actually know what you're supposed to be doing? So kind of being omniscient across the business has been very integral to my whole process, because I think being a leader is that, you know, I got to know a little something to be able to bring the best out of you. And for me to be able to provide you the resources that you need, or for me to jump in and help you. And so all of that comes from the assisting. So the root of your question, Susie, the best time of my life, and a step that nobody should skip.
Love that answer so much.
And for people who may not know, or if anybody might be living under a rock, tell us about LVRN and what's LVRN and what's the mission there, and sort of and what's your day-to-day role.
So LVRN is the greatest R&B and just music label ever created by 5 first-generation immigrants and young Black men that I just adore so much. It is the home of Summer Walker, Black, BRS Cash, incredible upcoming artists, Eli Derby, Alex Vaughn, North Ave Jax. The mission of that company, I think, is really just to empower artists and to listen to artists and to help bring artist dreams to life while they get to authentically be themselves. I think that's what's most important about the company and why I love it so much working there, and having just watched these guys grow over, like I said, a decade. Because at the end of it, like, they're my friends, and I don't know if I've ever seen it before, a business that stays in business with 5 friends. Let alone adding a 6th, which is ridiculous. So every day, you know, I praise those guys for being able to, promote healthy friendship and healthy relationships and mental health within a business that's really hard to keep all of those things together. But, you know, the mission, like I said, is just, you know, Summer Walker is the most unconventional R&B artist that we've ever seen in our time. You know, back then, if you would compare it to somebody, it'd be like Mary J. Blige. When she first came out, they were like, wait, what? She's a little rough around the edges. She's wearing baggy clothes. Oh, she dances. And then we have this girl who has tattoos on her face, but has something to say. And only Love Renaissance, I feel like, could help her make that work, could help make sure that she was heard, no matter how she looked or no matter how different it was from classic R&B. Or same with Black, this kid who had like dreads so far in front of his face you couldn't see him, but has a beautiful voice and something to say. So just like a real advocate for artists, and for authenticity and for culture and for Atlanta. And so, sorry, I could talk about them all day, but when you really love your job, this is how it should sound when you speak about it. So yes, LVRN, the top tier, the cream of the crop label.
And what's your day-to-day there? Like where do you fit into the puzzle?
Yeah, my day-to-day is exactly what I was telling you guys before. I get to do everything. I have my finger on every pulse in the company. You know, I work very closely with the marketing team, the head of marketing, Sean, helping him develop that team, grow it out, really building processes. So, you know, one of the things that LVRN is known most for, I feel like, is branding and their incredibly disruptive marketing ideas. And, you know, using the word disruption, you know, it's a fun word to use. Everybody wants to be disruptive. But sometimes that's like putting lightning in a bottle. And we're a firm believer in being able to do something over and over and over again. And the only way to be able to do something over again is to have a process. And so really developing process to make sure as a company, we can always stay fresh and always stay young and always have great ideas, has been a real focus for me. You know, as the GM of the company, I work very closely with Tunde on the boring day-to-day of the business of, you know, revenue and how we make sure that, you know, we're being as strategic as possible to keep our artists growing, whether that's helping grow their catalog, you know, making the best deals, finding the greatest like brand deals for our artists, and developing the management company that the guys also started about a year ago. So we've got a whole slew of other artists that we manage outside of the record label. But really it's just to make sure that the company's continuing to grow, to make sure that we're always ahead of the curve. And that we're sticking to the mission that we spoke about earlier, that we're always on track and on brand with that, I think is my job. And to, I don't know, keep these guys together, I'll say in short. It's crazy.
Now I want to get into, you know, what a lot of people, you know, showed up for today, you know, where I just think you just a master in terms of, branding and strategy and creative and a real idea person. So like, what's your approach and philosophy to marketing and branding?
So my initial approach, and I said it a little bit earlier, is actually knowing how I do things. Coming up with ideas is great. But again, if you can't explain how you came up with the idea, if you can't explain the root of it, why it's on brand, if you can't explain how you did it, that means it's going to be pretty hard for you to recreate. And so you know, the biggest thing is that I like to understand very deeply the artist that I'm working with, the project that I'm working on, so that I can come up with the best ideas for that person, which, you know, surprisingly, Troy, something that I learned and was able to master being at Spotify, because it's a big company. You know, at the time, everybody wanted something from them, and figuring out how to make every moment that you have with all of these artists, new artists, old artists, everybody around, trying to create a really unique opportunity for each person, took a level of understanding and making sure that you were serving their audience, serving their brand, serving what the managers need to accomplish, but what the artist really wants to bring to life. And I've taken all of those lessons into becoming a person who can really create for anybody, just by having a deep understanding. So it's you know, marketing sometimes is just like, oh, I have a good idea. You have to have a strategic idea, a really good idea. You know, sometimes only works for one person because it was for them. So that's kind of the mastery of where I'm at right now with marketing and branding. Yeah.
How do you do it? When an artist, when they don't have the budgets of a Spotify or a major label or a company like LVRN, are there any suggestions for how to approach it when you don't have those big budgets?
Creativity is free. I always like to start with what can I do with the least amount, using all of my resources, but the least amount of that resource, which is money. It is not, I've seen from being in a lot of different companies, I've wasted a lot of money. I've seen a lot of money get blown on ideas that don't reach anybody, that have no return on investment. And so my idea always is, when you're understanding deeply, well, what can I get done with what I have? Or what's already working? Or who is this artist already talking to? And how can I engage that audience? And so I am not a big spender on ideas. A lot of the things that come to me first are the things that would come naturally to the artist, and you figure out how to amplify those, like figure out what's already on fire and then pour gasoline on that. Is what I like to think. So I never go in thinking that I have a blank check, only that I can only write a check that I can cash, and then how can I make the most of that, right? That's really my thought process. And when you get a lot of money, it's incredible to see what you can do and play around with $1 million, but it's a lot more impressive to me to see what I can do with $10 and really make something happen. So yeah, creativity can be very cheap. And I say that in a positive way. To do something epic does not have to be expensive.
That is just so true, because people, the more money that you have, the more you end up spending. And so, like, when some of the best artists that I've worked with are artists like in those beginning stages where you don't have the big budgets, but you got the ideas, and you have to figure out how to sort of execute within within that small budget, and you'd be amazed how many great things come out of it. And then there's videos that we spent millions of dollars on and never saw the light of day because they were so bad. So it's like, people always equate money with like sort of the best ideas, but it doesn't always line up that way.
Yeah, there's still heart in those ideas. When you're first starting, especially as an artist, like in a creative field, usually like all you have to work with is passion. It's not a check. And you come up with some of the best ideas when you're like scraping, like, I really care. I got to get my artists out. I got to make sure somebody hears them. And you do what you can with what you have. And I feel like that intention usually ends up creating an ROI that you cannot pay for. And when you get into a company and you're kind of just trying to do the same thing for an artist, you say, oh, this has worked before, let's do it. It takes the heart out of it. When there's no heart, a lot of the times these things don't land, So I try to always, make sure that I'm passionate. If I'm not passionate about what I'm creating, I'm usually not going to create the best thing. I have to find something to be excited about or something I care about, because you can't pay for people to care. You just can't.
Like one of the things that, I'm just seeing, and, I think with things shifting, thinking about, the concept of like challenges and opportunities. And with, this is kind of a bit of a loaded question, so feel free to sort of unpack it. But with all of the platforms that exist right now, and having to make content for TikTok, YouTube, YouTube Shorts, Spotify, Canvas, like all of these different places where content lives, and this sort of expectation of output. How do you manage it with your artists? And are there any tips or suggestions on sort of how to approach it where it doesn't feel overwhelming for artists just to sort of approach it?
Yeah. So executive to executive, my advice is to use the stuff yourself. I stopped asking artists to get on TikTok until I got on TikTok. And I had to see, like, well, if it's daunting for me, imagine how daunting it is for an artist to have to come here and do whatever TikTok asks that's different than Instagram, which you've been doing for 10 years. So you kind of know how that thing goes. And you're not going to have the best ideas. You're not going to understand the service. You're not going to understand what you're asking people to do until you use it yourself. So like I have a Snapchat, I have a TikTok, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I have Be Real, which I hate. And I have all the apps, and I use all the apps because I want to know what I'm talking about when I'm asking somebody to do something. And I want to know what works, what I'm telling you, what can work on that platform. And if I tell you something's not going to work, I want to know because I tried it, or at least I've downloaded enough to see that it's not working for some other people, right? So talking about anything that you don't know is like the biggest oops, especially in trying to convince somebody else to engage in something. So I'll say that first. It's 2023. I'm there already. You got to use the stuff yourself. You need to be fully immersed in it so that you can create. The second part of that, executive to executive, is I hear a lot about like, oh, what else is there left to do in marketing? It's so boring. Everything's been done. Oh, all I hear when you were like naming all these things is opportunities. So how can I use Canvas the best? There was a canvas. I'm always watching people's canvases, and one that I was super impressed by was Dominic Fike. He put out a project. It was almost 2 years ago, and he used his canvas to sell his merch. The one thing, again, let's talk about what we can do for free, right? We want to sell merch. The one thing about selling merch is like the people want to see the artist wearing it, right? So if you're going to go listen to his music and then you're already tuned in as a fan, and you look at his canvas and he is literally taking off one shirt and putting on another one of his merch shirts. In real time, I'm seeing the whole action. I want that shirt. I want it just because you think it's cool and you're actually willing to wear it. One of the most incredible ways that I've seen Canvas used ever. And if you don't have an idea that tops that, I'm like, there's still more ground to be covered with Canvas, right? That means it's amazing. Whatever you're doing on your TikTok, one of the things I realized is that like, you can spread content across, all of the platforms, the same stuff, but every platform is very different, especially the way that people engage with you. TikTok is way more positive. Fans, they just kind of like root you on for no reason. It's a crazy place. And once they're in, they're in. Instagram, you could get 20,000 likes on something and maybe 2 people will follow you. On TikTok, if you do something that people like, they go, I'm in, I'll follow you. Now, let me see what else you got. That's incredible, right? So what do I do there that's different than what I do on Instagram? Because these people aren't buying in so easily, right? Videos. I don't know what's going on with videos. People aren't watching videos. Videos aren't lasting. But now you can do 3-minute videos on TikTok. Wonder why they did that, right? So I'm waiting for an artist to premiere an official video, TikTok exclusive, where I don't have to go to the other services, or maybe I get a piece on TikTok and get a piece on YouTube. Like, this is how my mind works, Troy. So I'm like sitting there, like somebody make another app. So I have more resources. So I have more opportunity to create. And I think if we just start thinking of this stuff as opportunities to be better artists and opportunities to be better creators, it would not seem so daunting, because what we do now is we get scared. Oh, not another this, not another that, not shorts. All of that stuff was created for a reason. I want to use it all. For whoever it touches, if it gets my artist one more listen or one more fan, not using it is the worst thing that I could do for them. And artist to artist, just use the stuff.
And when I saw you in Atlanta last week, it was interesting. We were talking about the campaign that you just launched for summer with the sped up versions, and really being able to act quickly on it. One, how do you look at being able to go back? Because a lot of people look at projects in terms of, okay, this cycle's over, let's think about the next project. And with this particular campaign, you and your team went back into the campaign to sort of re-engage and most likely reach new fans as well for summer. Just give me your sort of philosophy and thoughts about why you did that and how it's going.
Yeah. So the beauty of streaming is that no music ever dies, right? So now I used to go to Tower Records and get CDs, and when I had that CD,
no music ever dies. I'm sorry about that. That's great, by the way.
So when I broke that CD or something, it was done. I can't listen to it anymore, right? Damn, that I played that little Bow Wow album out. It's done. The beauty of streaming is my music's there forever, right? So that's the first thing, is like, okay, now I can get whoever's catalog I want. The beauty of TikTok, is what showed that the music never dies and that the music never gets old. TikTok, I've been saying it for a long time, one of the only platforms that actually translates to streams. If something is happening on TikTok, it is usually happening in your Spotify for Artists, your Apple Music for Artists. Go and check and see what's going on, because it's a very transactional business. The kids find a sound that they like and they're gonna want to hear the whole song. Or I'm trying to make a TikTok, so now I have to listen to this 20 times to try to get the dance right. It's like an immediate transaction. That's incredible. Catalog booming, TikTok booming. I'm seeing the similarities, right? The kids don't care about how old or new something is. They just like sounds. It's like, I like what this person said, or I like this beat, or whatever it is. And there's a lot of really unique moments that happen on that platform. And because it's kind of like a monkey see, monkey do platform, if one person does something, another person goes, that's easy, I can do it. Summer Walker's catalog across the TikTok platform, because she's an artist that has something incredible to say and she says it in incredibly unique ways, is on fire. And I think what we discovered is, like, where there is smoke, there is usually fire. And so as you start seeing these things start to pop up, having worked at a label before, I have done the passive thing of saying, hey, something's going up on social media. That's great. Let's see what happens. Or, hey, something's happening here. Let's go spend $10,000 on some TikTok influencers that have nothing to do with this artist's audience and that nobody gives a shit about, and have them dance to this song, because that's going to make it go up. This one person is going to make 1 billion people do something. Doesn't make any sense. So what we got the opportunity to do here is said, hey, there's smoke here on a particular song, Karma, a 4-year-old song, several sounds popping up. Maybe at the time where we found it, it was probably like 5 different sounds that had about 20,000 creates amongst them. And so my
4 years old, Amber?
4 years old, from her very, very first mixtape.
Wow.
So in my mind, I go, well, if people really like the way this sounds on TikTok for 20 seconds, maybe they want to hear the rest. And then I go on YouTube and discover the rest actually already exists. And so the case study is done for you there, because a bunch of different producers, you can go on YouTube and speed up a sound and make a video with animation, and it's there. And so I'm looking and I'm like, well, somebody else has 100,000 views on Karma Sped-up. So the work's already been done for me. There's 100,000 people that wanted to hear this before I realized how many people will want to hear it if it comes from the artist, or if it's available to hear in the car because it's on your Spotify or app or YouTube Music. So we released Karma Sped-up, and learned so much. One, not only that people wanted to hear it, but hearing this new version made people want to go listen to the regular version probably about 5 times, 1 to 5. Here's Sped-up. Okay, cool. I'm going to run this into the ground. Incredible. And so the results that we were seeing from that were just astronomical on a song that was an album cut. It wasn't a single. It wasn't Girls Need Love with Drake. An album cut that people said this didn't get the energy that it deserves. So 4 years later, guess what? We can still give it the same energy, because music never dies. It's timeless and it's here. Got that song to a point where it was doing 4 million streams a week. Unheard of, because it came from doing like 1,500 a day, on to peaking last week at 215,000 streams a day at Spotify. 330,000 combined streams with the Sped-up and the original version at Apple Music, both peak performances for the song ever. And rewind, we said, if people want to hear one of these songs off the album, what if we did all of them? And so we went ahead and sped up that whole album. And the results have been the same. There's an audience for it, no matter who tries to push it away or goes, why would she do that? For every why would she do that, there's about 20 tweets of people saying, I love this. I love this refresh sound. This is so much fun. Thank you for listening to your fans. We wanted it and you gave it to us. And so it's just this thing about like fighting technology. Just because you don't understand something does not mean you don't have to engage, or that you shouldn't engage, or that you shouldn't give people what they're asking for. You don't have to understand it. I am not 21 anymore. I'm close, but I'm not 21.
You look it.
And what 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds want, it's not exactly my business to understand, but it's my business to provide, because we're all in this the music business is a young man's game, but it's ran by older men and women. And if we're not listening to the kids and giving them what they're asking for as our number one consumer, we're doing the whole business a disservice. And it's literally like, you know, when we were all on Facebook and Twitter was created, everyone goes, Twitter, what's Twitter? And now everybody's on Twitter. And then we had Twitter and Instagram was created. And everyone goes, I'm not posting pictures of myself. I just like 140 characters. Now everybody's on Instagram. And now TikTok has come, and it's like, dude, technology always wins. It always wins. So like lean in or lean the fuck out and let the rest of us that want to like give the people what they want, like run this business and figure out how the game is going to go. And so it was a beautiful case study for Summer to allow us to engage in, creates an entirely new revenue stream for not only her, but any other artist that's having this success. Chris Brown's having this success on Under the Influence, and you can see the way that he did it. He's released every type of version of that song. He shot a new video for it, and it's been number one on Apple Music R&B charts for probably about 4 to 5 months straight.
Wow.
My question to everybody else is like, what more of a case study do you need?
Wow. So if you were starting all over today, like, you know, and you had a brand new artist making music in their bedroom, how would you approach it? Like, what's some of the best practices in terms of starting today?
You know, I would say those are the people that need to be and should be the most active on their socials. You know, I use TikTok as a place to find out who's organically doing their thing. I don't want LVRN. We don't want to work with artists that we have to create. You know, gone are the days of just finding a girl on the street or a kid at the basketball court and say, I'm going to make you a star. You gotta be one now because there's too many other people who are. And if you're using all your resources properly, it makes you a lot more easily identifiable, not to label people, because that might not be everybody's dream. You know, somebody's dream might be to sign with Venice and be able to be an independent artist that's successful. But it makes you identifiable to fans, to people that want to love your music. They have to be able to find you. So, you know, you can make music in your bedroom, but if you have to analyze the reasons why you do music. And if it's to change somebody's life or to make somebody's day better, if you don't put it out, you can't change anybody's life. So I say that in whatever way that works for you as an artist, make yourself discoverable. Every one of these platforms that we've talked about today are called a discovery platform. People are discovering people, they're discovering music, they're discovering brands. There's a lot of artists who haven't found that song yet. They don't even have that hit, but because they make themselves discoverable, people have fallen in love with them before they've even given them what they really came for. And if you use all those platforms to make people fall in love with whatever it is that you have to provide, whatever the best thing is, it makes it a lot easier on yourself getting into this business by using the resources that are available to you. So if you want to make music in your bedroom for your mom to hear upstairs, there's nothing wrong with that. And that music can be posted on all platforms, and you may be able to even just make a living for yourself. But if you want to change the world with your music, if you want to perform at the State Farm Arena, if there's aspirations that you have for yourself, make yourself discoverable so that people can find you and so people can fall in love with you and you can share your dream and if it's not for you and your mom, share it. That's
amazing.
Amber, it's so fascinating because, you know, we have been doing AMA sessions with just me and Troy with this community. And I see some of our like beloved repeat visitors in our community in the chat. And I'm just reflecting that we had this discussion before about what's the line between oversaturating yourself on social media, or, you know, doing it for the algorithm, or selling your soul, or, you know, just wanting to do the Frank Ocean thing of popping up once in a while. And but I really love how you laid it out. I think we made an impact on a few artists and executives in the room a month ago. And like, I'm so proud of a few of those artists and executives in the room that have been going for it. And I'm watching and I see that. But then just the way that you laid it out today in everyone's understandable terms, like bite size, that we all remember, we should absolutely like write some of these things down and share it on an Instagram story, because Amber, you just made it so palpable and so real. I'll share with you that like I sent Troy a text message a few weeks ago, and it said, Troy, we need to be on TikTok.
Susie's the only person. No, it's so funny because as Amber was saying it, like you could have never gotten me on social media at all, by the way. And but it's very true in terms of really being able to experience it and know it yourself or whatever. It's so funny. I was on the phone with my friend Charlie Mack this morning, and Charlie was he was laughing because I never, I just stayed away from Instagram and everything else or whatever. And we were talking about it, but like for me, it's exactly what you said, Amber. It's like if I'm not leaning into it, and if I don't have a core understanding from a user on all of these things, like my brother when he saw me get a TikTok account, my older brother, he just texted me dying laughing. He was like, "You're up to something now." He was like,
Troy, do you know how excited I was to see that you had Instagram? You have been I have shown you so much love on Instagram at no IG Troy. And I'm so excited you're on there. But, I will say, because everybody's not an artist in the room, and then we're three executives, I feel that everybody has, in this digital age, everybody has a responsibility, if that's your intention and your goal, to inspire the next you. And I say it to the executives the same way I say it to the artists. If you are not discoverable, or people can't find you or hear your message, or the things that you are doing and the things that you are saying, you take away an opportunity for somebody to be able to aspire to something, and I think there's a lot of people throughout my career that go, oh, she's on the internet, she's doing interviews, she's doing that. Well, because my purpose of making sure that some young girl that either looks like me or doesn't look like me, or a young man says, I want to do what she does. The only way that he can say it is because he sees what I do. The only way that she can say it is because she's heard what I've had to say. The only way that she can do it is say, man, even if it's, I want to wear my hair like that or do my makeup like that, whatever it is that you aspire to do, I have to make sure that I show you, because there's not a lot of representation for any of the three of us on this call. Everybody is a minority in their own right. And I know that I did not have that many people to look up to when saying I want to be in the music business. And anytime I would find somebody, I would hold on very tight to it. So what a world of young leaders we can really create when we show them not only what they can be, but how to actually be it in a genuine, and like Troy, that I will talk about you all day. One of the most genuine executives I've ever met. One of the people who allowed me and made sure that I felt like it was okay to be myself and to fight for the things that I wanted to, no matter what four corporate walls I was in. And I want more leaders and executives to be like you. And if they can't see you doing it, if they don't hear me singing your praises, people don't know what to aspire to as a leader even. And so that's the only reason. It's not about I want to show my outfits off. It's somebody needs to see it. And so even for the artists, when your intentions are good, to answer your question, Susie, there's no way to oversaturate the market. If you're oversaturating the market with what's genuinely you, what's positive, what's needed in the world, post more of it.
You just nailed it, right? You really nailed it, because there's certain people who post that, and they post a lot, that I can watch every piece of content that they put out. And because it's interesting, is engaging, is something I want to hear, or something and a lot of, like, you sort of had this gap where people feel like they're oversaturating, but it's like fans want that. It's people that I'm fans of that post, and I'm like, okay, give me more. Because otherwise my attention is going to go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? So I might as well be able to get more from those people who I'm interested in. So that's just a really good point. I know I want to definitely leave some space for people to ask some questions. This, and Amber, was interesting is when we learned before this session, this has gotten the most engagement out of like all of these sessions that we've gotten in terms of interest and everything else or whatever. So a lot of people wanted to hear from you. So I want to leave some room for some questions here too.
Cool. Yeah.
Hey, Donovan with the fly background. I see them coming to your
Yeah.
house too.
Dude, with all these gems you're giving me, I'm gonna be able to buy a house with this background. Nah, this is great. Thank you so much. It's just been great listening to this. It's gonna be something I think a lot of people are gonna get a lot of value from once we share this. So if anybody has any questions for Amber, please go ahead and share them, and then yeah, we'll get to it. But I'm sure there's gonna be a ton of questions. People are going pretty crazy in the chat right now.
Oh, do they just pop up here in the comments?
Yeah, they'll pop in the comments and then I'll read them off. It's a little lag, so I'm gonna wait a sec.
Amber, I'll ask a question. What's been challenging for you, like over the last year, 2 years? I mean, of course, we've all been challenged by the pandemic, but professionally, like what's something that you've been like meatily chewing through on, like you want to see something different?
Yeah, well, so I'm on the other side of, I think, one of the biggest challenges in my whole career. And I'd love to share it early for anybody that has to go through this. It's very important for you to be happy where you work. I have work, my life is my work because I'm really deep in it. And I know there's some people that, go do their job and they do their thing and they're like, I care about my family and my dog and going to the beach on the weekend. My life is my work. I love it. I love these artists. I love this music industry. And being in a place that either doesn't love you back or love the art that artists that look like you create back, having to fight every day for ideas that are going to work, or at least you should have the opportunity to try, is something that makes me extremely unhappy. And choosing to be a part of something like that, at the very least for money, is the worst decision that personally I could ever make, for my mental health, for my spiritual health, for every type of health that there is. And so I would say, the entertainment business is such a fun place. I'm grateful every day to be able to do what I do for a living and to be able to make enough money to live listening to music. That is a blessing, whether you're listening to it, creating it, or helping sell it. And the last thing you should do is be miserable every day with the people that you work with on this thing that you love, because it ruins the music. It ruins the product. And so I will every day after this, and I'm already doing it right now in the situation that I'm in, is making sure that I really love my job when I say I love my job so much that I light up when I talk about the company that I work with. And if you ever have an opportunity to choose between money and happiness, I'm telling you to choose your happiness. That's
work.
So true.
Oh, I have some questions. All right.
Yeah. By the way, Red just said love you.
I love you too, Red.
Cool. So this one comes from Uner. Aside from social media, what are your thoughts regarding landing pages like Linktree and actual websites for artists?
Yes, great question. Okay, so Unir, I hope I'm saying your name right. I did a seminar at Berkeley School of Music with a bunch of kids between the ages of 14 and 18 just like 6 months ago. And it was a music class that LVRN created, and we taught them, but at the end of it, they got to analyze 2 of our artists and do presentations on everything that we were doing wrong to promote our artists. Incredible. Never been cussed out by so many kids. The number one thing that every student said was, your artist doesn't have a link tree. Where is their link tree? I can't. And I was like, what is this thing? And I was glad that I had one at the time, because I was like, I'm on it, but I didn't have them for my artists. And Linktree is, like I said, make yourself discoverable. So if someone is going to click, when somebody clicks on something, you have one opportunity to show them every fucking thing that you have to offer. If someone clicks on your bio and it opens up into a world of you, someone who is even willing to click on it is someone who may be interested in some piece of your world. So just having one song there or one whatever it is, it's not a world, it's just a thing. So Linktree, I know there's a bunch of different websites, so don't mean to endorse anybody, but the ability to create a discoverable world for yourself at the click of a button is the most incredible thing that you can do for your social media. And those that want to engage will engage, and those that don't will see that it exists and they will click out, and you will find out who your real fans are. But one click is one more fan, one more interest, and we build it day by day. I don't care if you're an artist, an executive, a painter, I don't know, whatever it is you do, you should have a link tree in your bio, in every bio that exists for you. Incredible question.
Nice.
Incredible answer.
Linktree needs to give me a check, by the way, because I am.
You just sold me on Linktree, by the way.
Yes, come on, Troy.
Troy, you about to get a link tree, yeah?
If I got a TikTok, I might as well have a Linktree.
For real though, for real. So this one comes from Corey. He says, in your opinion, what's next in R&B?
Great group. Love your questions. I think what's next in R&B is I would say sped up sounds, but that would be that's a very biased answer. I think it is the truly showing the longevity of the catalog of R&B artists. Everybody says that R&B is a slow burn. That's something that, something that said like, oh, it never dies. It takes R&B. R&B doesn't go to the top of the charts as fast as hip hop. Well, incredible. We have this incredible opportunity to take really classic R&B, whether it's Ari Lennox's classic R&B songs. She hasn't been out for 20 years, but catalog now is what I think like 18 months old. And where these artists are going to be able to breathe new life into music that never got the visibility that it deserved because they were just aspiring artists. So if we're able to go back in R&B, and I say R&B, I just don't see it happening as often in hip hop. If you take Lucky Days Over, if you take Chris Brown's Under the Influence, Running Up That Hill, like all of these songs, R&B's pop too, by the way, so whatever. If you take all of these songs that people like, timeless music, I'm just thinking of all the opportunities we have to create, like I said, for the artists by putting something 4 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old back into the atmosphere and people being able to enjoy it as if it was new. It's going to be able to feed people's families. Like I said, it's going to get people excited and aspire people to create better new music because we're shining the light on people that did incredible production before us. And I just think there was a time, if I think about all of Diddy's production, there's a lot of times where I'll go back and be like, dang, I didn't even know that was a sample from this song in the 70s. Man, that's this song. Kids miss that right now. Yeah. I think, everyone's like, oh, I love sampling. It's incredible. There's somebody who did this in an incredible way before you. There's nothing new under the sun. It's providing kids like a new history book on music. And the only good thing that can come out of history, I feel like, is a better future. And so I think what's next in R&B is the resurgence of R&B catalog. And what happens after that, I'm still testing things. But sped up and slowed sounds. Funk, PHONK, something I'm learning about and getting into. Chopped and Screwed is going to make an incredible return. We are stepping on the product, and it's great for the artists and for revenue.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. So kind of like on that same spirit of like the shift. So this comes from Lottie. And she asked, what are your thoughts on Web3? And does LVRN plan on incorporating aspects of it in the future?
Yes, Lottie. So we did our, LVRN has a partnership with Microsoft. Just a month ago, we did our first Unplugged show with Microsoft. So Unplugged is a series that LVRN was doing before my time at the company, where they would have an artist like Gunna come in and do a performance with a live band. And so now we're doing that series again at the pool at our office, where you can have an artist come and they do a performance, but we also have a way to be able to view this in the metaverse. So if you have a headset, you can actually be there live in the LVRN office watching this performance. And we're about to put out the video on demand for our artist, Alex Vaughn, that was a part of that. So you'll be able to see that on her page. But incredible experience. Like we did it on green screen in the office. She's there singing her songs. You can make an avatar and just really like immerse yourself with the artist, be in our office, like, which is a really cool thing to have it like recreated in Web3. So we're super excited about it. LVRN has a Discord now. Any part of Web3 that we can be a part of. We have so much to learn, but we're getting in there as much as we can. So I think it's the future. And if you're a part of it, use it responsibly, no need to bring up people using it irresponsibly, but it's a new place. And I think we have an opportunity to be able to protect it in a real way for the artists that we promote and that we have signed for us. So yes, we're excited about the metaverse. And if you have any tips or anything that we should be doing, hit me up. You know where to find me.
Amazing.
Well, Amber, just to be respectful of your time, we come up on an hour, but thank you so much for doing this. You dropped like real gems, and just appreciate you so much. And of course, anything that Suze and I and Venice, whatever could do for you, we're definitely here.
Love it. Thank you guys so much for having me. This is an incredible platform. I'll be in here watching the next one. And then thank you for all the people who are in the comments and engaging and that came to watch this. I love your questions. If you really still have them, like tweet at me or DM me and I will answer them. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Amber.
I love you, Am. Bye-bye.
Take care, y'all.